Abraham Lincoln. If you once forfeit the confidence of your fellow citizens, you can never regain their respect and esteem. It is true that you may fool all of the people some of the time. You can even fool some of the people all of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. Speech at Clinton, Illinois, September 8, 1854.
Hi, my name is Hare Krishna. In the last few days, I have made a video called Initiation. I will put a link to that video under this video. I mentioned that Tulsi Gabbard was brainwashed by her guru, Chris Butler, the owner, the director of the Science of Identity cult. And today I have received an email asking me to make a video so that the average American public, actually the public internationally, even in Russia, could understand what is the brand of Hinduism that Tulsi Gabbard is practicing. She says it's Gaudiya Vaishnava. But what is that? So I think it's a very good idea to give a sort of master class on what are the beliefs of Tulsi Gabbard and the belief of her guru, Chris Butler, the owner of the cult Science of Identity. But before I give the master class, I would like to mention that I have been sued by the cult of Chris Butler. And you can also find the particular of this lawsuit in another video that I will post under this video. He sent his lawyers after me, and I told his lawyer that I could not come to Hawaii to court. I am taking care of my 98-year-old mother that you see here for many years now. She is now 99 and I'm still taking care of her. I tried to make an arrangement. I tried to say I'm sorry. It was useless. The lawyers not only came to me in the court of Hawaii, but they came after me in the court here in Canada, in the province of Quebec. Possibly the worst of the story is that I was sued at the same time than this young man called Rama Ranson. And Rama Ranson was born and raised in the cult of Science of Identity. His father and mother were fanatic, thinking that the only way to spiritual enlightenment was to love and to serve Chris Butler. Rama Ranson had to go to sleep at night with headphones listening to the rant of Chris Butler demonizing homosexuality and so many other stupid things that he had to say. So at one point, Rama Ranson decided he did not want to worship Chris Butler. He wanted to get away from the cult. And as people who have been brainwashed by cult, be Scientology or the Jehovah's Witness or so many other Eastern cults, it is very, very hard to get deprogrammed. The interesting part about this family is that his brother, Lakshman, he accepted Chris Butler as his guru, and he's totally brainwashed, living in Hawaii, serving Chris Butler. So Chris Butler and his cult do not have an ounce of compassion. Even if you say, listen, I'm taking care of my mother. You want money? I don't have any money. I'm retired. I live on a small pension. What I do mainly now is I work in the hospice work. I help people dying mainly from cancer to relax in the process of death itself. I just helped my brother-in-law who died in my arm a few weeks ago at the age of 64-year-old. You can explain all this to the lawyer of Butler. They don't care, because the science of identity cult and Chris Butler live by the same rule of Scientology, which is called fair game. We attack you if you say anything against us or against our leader. He has done these lawsuits in New Zealand. He has done these lawsuits in Australia. He has done other lawsuits in the United States. And now through Tulsi Gabbard, they're suing Google. So at this point in my life, I am really upset. I am really pissed off at this cult that has given me anxieties while I'm taking care of my mother. They have forced me to spend thousands of dollars on lawyer to try to defend myself here in Canada. They don't care. So why am I gonna do this video? First of all, I think it's an absolute scandal that a megalomaniac, a narcissistic man who people have to bow down in front of him, he is an homophobe, Islamophobe, germaphobe. You cannot approach this guy if you don't have a surgical mask on. He claimed to be enlightened. He claimed to be a pure devotee. He claimed to be self-realized. And I say it's bullshit. It's not true. It's a scam. It's a scam of which Tulsi Gabbard is a victim. She is brainwashed. She doesn't have much of a choice. She was born and raised in that cult. What are my qualifications to talk about the state of mind and religious belief of Tulsi Gabbard? Well, I'm a hypnotherapist that has worked with more than 10,000 clients over the last 30 years. And in the last 5 years, I have specialized in the study of brainwashing and mind control by cults. I have made many videos on various Hindu and Buddhist cults, and I have helped several hundred people through telephone communication, through email, through Skype, to get deprogrammed from the cult that they were involved in. For you see, I believe that there's millions of people around the world that are brainwashed by cult. At this point of my life, I see cults as huge prison, mental prison, emotional prison, financial prison, such as the Jehovah's Witness, Scientologies are the biggest one. And then there is thousands of very medium-sized and small one, like the cult called Science of Identity, in which Tulsi Gabbard is a member. It's about 5,000 members possibly around the world, because this is a cult that not only work in the United States but as a presence in New Zealand, in Australia, in Poland, and in Ukraine. This is a very big scam, and there is thousands of people that have been brainwashed in thinking that this guy, Chris Butler, is really the representative of God on earth. They have been initiated by him. They have decided to make him the Lord of their heart. They work for him, they give money to him, they give adoration to him, even if many of them barely know him. So what are my qualifications to judge our Hindu belief? I have been involved in the study of Hinduism for more than 50 years now. I have been to India 12 times. And in the last 10 years, I have made many videos and documentaries on various schools of Hinduism. And you can find a 20-hour documentary on the YouTube channel of Mr. David Godman, one of my mentors, who has written 20 books on Hinduism, and is considered one of the greatest scholars in Hinduism alive today. Even more important is that I was myself part of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Hare Krishna movement when I was 19 years old. Here's a picture of me with George Harrison from the Beatles. We were friends briefly, enough to have several philosophical conversations, and I know the leader of the Hare Krishna movement, Swami Bhaktivedanta, as I lived with him for several years around the world. Los Angeles, London, Calcutta, Australia. Chris Butler claimed to have the power and the authority that he has because he claimed to be a pure representative of his guru, Swami Bhaktivedanta. In this next story, you will understand how this man is a real liar, a deceiver, that has been doing those scams since the early 70s. I joined the Hare Krishna movement and the service of Swami Bhaktivedanta in 1969. I opened an Hare Krishna temple in Paris for him, then one in Singapore, then eventually one in Venezuela and Buenos Aires. But by 1972, I had become an important person in the Hare Krishna movement, so much that I was allowed to travel with Swami Bhaktivedanta. In 1972, I was with him in his center in New Zealand when he was receiving all kinds of reports about Chris Butler doing unethical things, preaching unethical philosophy. So he did not know what to think about him. So we had a conversation, and he said, you go to Hawaii and do an investigation on what Chris Butler is doing, and you report to me in a few weeks from now in Los Angeles. So I flew to Hawaii and I went to the temple that was under the leadership of Chris Butler in Maui. And what happened during the main ceremony astounded me, for it was not a regular Hare Krishna service. At one point, he asked everyone in the room to lay down on the floor. He lowered the light and he did a hypnosis session. In those days, I did not understand what it was, but now I understand 100% what it was. About the same time, my beloved sister Marjolaine JOLICOEUR, who is an award-winning journalist right now in Canada, she also experienced Chris Butler hypnosis session in Laguna Beach, and there was more than 100 persons in that service. So a few weeks later, I met with Swami Bhaktivedanta and did my report. I never seen Swami Bhaktivedanta so upset, so angry in the hundreds of time that I had been with him. Butler used a Krishna temple to do what he called psychic sleep. We had an hour-long conversation where, among other things, he was really concerned about people coming to a Krishna temple, laying down on the floor and being hypnotized. Already the Hare Krishna movement was getting a reputation as a cult, adding hypnosis to the Hare Krishna mantra. That was surefire to attract lots of legal problems. He immediately sent the responsible at the time to talk to Chris Butler to absolutely stop this nonsense of psychic sleep in a Hare Krishna temple. And around that time, I was walking in Los Angeles, and who was running after me? Chris Butler. He said, "Did you tell our spiritual master that I was doing the psychic sleep?" "Sure." I said, "It's me. It's unauthorized. You should not do that." You see, because not only he was doing hypnosis, but he wanted people that were hypnotized, that were devotee of Krishna, to say absolutely nothing, to keep this under wrap, so that Swami Bhaktivedanta would not hear about his mind control technique over devotees of Krishna. By 1977, he sold, without the permission of Swami Bhaktivedanta, the Honolulu temple and split the money with his associate. And again, Swami Bhaktivedanta was extremely upset at him because on top of stealing the money, he left some sacred plants to die in the Krishna temple. And Swami Bhaktivedanta said at the time that anybody that would follow this mad guy would not do any spiritual advancement. But this did not deter Chris Butler. He started his own cult, the Science of Identity cult. He turned the initiation ceremony into a process where he would take the control of the mind and the heart of his followers. I talked to someone on the phone just a couple days ago that was with him around 1977. His followers were living in a warehouse in Honolulu, sleeping on cardboard on the floor, while he was living the high life in expensive condominium in Waikiki. He decided that there would be no more robes of Hare Krishna. They would dress like regular folks. There was advantage to that. They could blend in the society. But they were disadvantaged because those disciples then opened various centers, were giving yoga classes, cooking, vegetarian classes in Hawaii, then in the Philippines, then in Australia. And people would come and get some yoga classes, vegetarian cooking classes, and then slowly, gradually, they were brainwashed in thinking that Chris Butler was the representative of God on earth. I have talked to someone on the phone that left their children, left their husband to completely follow and serve Chris Butler. One of those is the mother of this guy here, Jan Kovac. You can read a lot about his testimonial on culteducation.com. I recommend that you read the page 633 to 670. There's lots of information there. But the testimonial of Jan Kovac is most important because eventually Chris Butler did open a school in the Philippines where boys were sent to be educated, and it was real basic education. But among the education was the brainwashing that homosexuality is evil. And to make his point, Butler would show kids that were 9, 10, 11, 14-year-old. He would show them pornographic homosexual videos of homosexual having sex in the street, etc., trying to produce an aversion to homosexuality. But many of those people became homosexual anyway. This guy is 100% an homophobe, and he has brainwashed Mike Gabbard in being an homophobe. When I hear Tulsi Gabbard says, "Oh, my parents were socially conservative," the parents were not socially conservative. They were people that were preaching hatred of gay people, of lesbian people in Hawaii, having their own radio show. Tulsi Gabbard might have apologized for her past views on homosexuality, but not her father, not her guru. How can she apologize and keep worshiping Chris Butler as her guru, as someone that she has installed in her own heart, in her own subconscious mind? How can she? It is my belief that Tulsi Gabbard did not have another choice. She was born and raised in the cult. She's a star devotee of Chris Butler. There might be hundreds of other kids that turn out to be a complete failure. You don't have to go very far. I visited her brother, Bhakti, when he was in jail in Las Vegas 4 or 5 years ago. He was totally psychotic, having taken so many drugs, arrested 4 or 5 times within a month's time. All he talked to me about is that he wanted to make a CD of devotional song for his guru, Chris Butler. He was totally in a space of psychosis. And there's hundreds of stories of people who have been affected negatively by this cult, mentally, emotionally, financially. Chris Butler is an enormous scam, and I'm here to tell him that he is not self-realized. He is not a pure devotee of the blue god Krishna. He is a person that has a very big narcissistic problem. He's a megalomaniac. He's a sociopath that does not care about all those people that have been hurt by his preaching of hatred and discriminations. I have much more to say on the religion of Tulsi Gabbard, much more to say about the cult, science of identity. But for those of you that are followers of Tulsi Gabbard, I'm going to ask you to investigate deeply who she is, what she believes, who and what has been put in her heart and in her subconscious mind. And by the way, I don't have any hatred for Tulsi Gabbard. I see her as a victim of Chris Butler. She had no choice in the matter, or she followed and be a devotee to Chris Butler and do what she was asked to do if she wanted to be financed by the cult members, or she would have to get a regular job. So stay tuned. I'm preparing more videos to expose more deeply the lies and deceit of Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you very much.